The avarice never ends!
I want golf clubs, I want diamonds, I want a pony so I can ride it twice, get bored, and sell it to make glue.
But this whole Christmas season is stupid, stupid, stupid!
Ah, Christmas. What a lovely time of the year. The family reunites. Well, not really. But at least we have the classics good old Christmas movies. Elf, The Polar Express, Jingle All the Way. And the most important movie ever made, How the Grinch Stole the Christmas. I honestly love this movie. It's definitely the movie that I watched most throughout my life. I used to have the VHS of this movie, and I used to watch it not only during Christmas time, but all the year, and especially during Christmas. This movie was a safe place to me. Every year I knew I could count on Jim Carrey for a good time, and no one would ruin this. Ever. Right? Dr. Seuss was never much famous in Brazil, where I was born and raised, and so for most of my life I never really knew who he was or what he did. But since I can remember, I was always fascinated by Ron Howard's adaptation of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Actually, when I was younger, I was really afraid of the Grinch. Look at that, let's face it, for a 5-year-old, that's pretty scary. But at the same time, I always loved to watch the Grinch. I guess that's where my love for horror films came from. Anyway, I used to watch the VHS tape very often, until one day my VHS player stopped working. It was a pretty sad day, but DVDs were already a thing, so my mom didn't bother to fix the VHS player or buy a new one, and Grinch got lost in my memories. Until 2014, when I got Netflix. I was scrolling through the catalog, the only real way to use Netflix, and saw a familiar movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Finally, after all these years, I was flooded by memories of this movie, and I immediately started watching it. The film was still great, and it wasn't just my childhood memories. The movie was actually pretty good. In my opinion, it's Ron Howard's best film, and Jim Carrey's finest acting. The movie is funny, and not just for kids, but most of the jokes work on multiple levels. Watching it as a child and watching it as an adult are two different experiences. And Ron Howard created a very particular and interesting style for the movie. As I said, Dr. Seuss was never big here in Brazil, and I only got to know his books when I was around 15 or 16. So to me, the movie was an amazing original experience, without another base material to compare to. But I know that for North Americans and other people that grew up with Seuss' book, that's not always the case. But bear in mind that the best way to analyze or criticize an adaptation is not actually by how faithful it is to the original. After all, if you want the original material, you don't need an adaptation. The best way is to see how the film, or other pieces of work, function by themselves. Observe how the director creates a unique mise-en-scène, creating a particular universe for that work. And to me, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is the ultimate Christmas experience. The year was 2018, and I was already getting psyched for Christmas. All those classic Christmas foods and city-full decorations, and I was almost finishing Alive, my first year of college. Things were great, and Grinch started to appear on my Netflix recommendations again, and that wonderful time was approaching. But suddenly, and I remember this with details, I was sitting in my college's library, scrolling through Facebook. After all, I'm a filmmaking student, I don't really need to study, and then I came across a trailer of a movie. Normally, I don't watch movie trailers. After all, well, as I said, I'm a disgusting filmmaking student. But this time was different. I rushed to watch the movie trailer. I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. A new Grinch movie. I am not very in favor of remakes. Normally, they just try to tell the same story, but weaker and without much originality or personality. Sometimes I'm wrong, like I said in my previous video about Suspiria. And I was actually hopeful for the Grinch. I really thought Illumination might do something new and original, different than what we already had. But unfortunately, I was wrong. The Grinch is just another generic Illumination movie. They didn't try to do something new, crazy, or with a special twist. The Who's, perhaps one of the most inventive and out-of-the-box characters ever made, just look like normal Illumination characters, and have absolutely no personality or characteristics to make us feel for them. The story seems diluted, And it is, after all, the book is not that long. That's why Howard's adaptation had to create a new story for the movie. But Illumination just diluted it, and that was it. The Grinch has a less scary look, and that's a positive point on one side because, as I said, I used to be afraid of the Grinch, and reading other people's review online, I wasn't the only one. But at the same time, Grinch's motivation just seemed almost absent. He's not a really grumpy, bitter, and recluse character, he just seems mildly annoyed by Christmas. The movie doesn't seem to have a very strong message, common in most child stories, and especially on Dr. Seuss stories. The movie tries to be less scary and more funny for children, but loses the whole spirit of the story in the process. The end, and ends up being just a simple, uneventful, and generic Christmas movie for children, opposite of the 2000s version and Dr. Seuss' original book. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was my little Christmas special. If you enjoyed it, consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to this channel. In the description you'll find my Twitter, Letterboxd, and Instagram. Follow me there as well. And thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next week.